Estate Corner. My name is Shad Bogany. We're doing the Real Estate Corner here tonight, and we're doing it from our home studio, and we're here on Iconic TV 15.10 and KWWJ 1360. We're going to be talking about automation. We're going to be talking about home technology tonight. With COVID-19 going on, it's a lot of things that people are working from home. I've got who I consider a technology guru here in the studio with us, and we're going to be talking about home technology. But it's a few things I wanted to talk about before we move to home technology. First of all, I'd like to recognize our sponsors. Our sponsors, American Title with Jermaine. American Title with Charlene Clancy. Charlene is over at American Title 5802 Valverde. We also have Prosperity Bank, who has the best home loan out there. We talked a lot about Prosperity Bank UHOP program last week. There's a lot of things going on, and I wanted to kind of stress a little bit what's happening here locally here in the marketplace. The first thing in the marketplace to keep in mind is that we are working with a lot of things that are going on in this market, and a lot of things could bust the real estate market by just people panicking, people misinterpreting things. And one of the first things I like to talk about is forbearance. Everybody's been talking about forbearance. I've had several calls. Shad, does that mean I don't need to pay my house note? Does that mean that I don't need to pay my rent anymore for at least 2 or 3 months because they're not going to be able to evict me? Guys, let me share this with you. Forbearance is if you need to use forbearance. If you've lost your job, don't have enough money to pay your house note or your rent, then you might want to use forbearance. But that does not mean those payments don't come due. That does not mean that when you go into forbearance and you're not making payments, they're going to put that on your credit report. So my suggestion is to understand that if you're in dire need, then do a forbearance. If you don't need a forbearance, don't do it just for the sake of missing a few house notes and saying, well, I'll make them up on the back end. I'm here to tell you that forbearance is not the right way to go if you don't need it. It could mess you up. There's really no hookup in real estate. I was just recently talking to a landlord, and a landlord told me that one of his tenants said, well, I'm not going to pay you for 2 or 3 months, and then because you can't evict me right now. And so I'm working. I don't have a problem working, but I'm just not going to pay you for 2 or 3 months. I think we're taking the wrong attitude with these changes. And so I'm going to suggest that before you mess your credit up, before you turn around and be eventually evicted, because when they forbearance those rental payments, at some point, you're going to need to make them. It is not going to change. You're not making those payments. So all I can share with you on forbearance is that it is a tool to help those who are in need. It's not a tool to get over. So I just want to share that with everyone out there. And I wanted to do that before we got into the show. I know the media has talked about it. It's in the newspaper. Everybody's talking about forbearance. And I will share this with you. The lenders with first-time homebuyer programs, I heard today that if you have inquired about forbearance, even if you've inquired about a forbearance or made a phone call about it, the secondary market will not buy those mortgages from the banks and the lenders. So subsequently, you're seeing a lot of lenders shut down payment assistance programs. So there are some issues there as we move forward. There are a lot of issues there as we move forward. So I just wanted to share with you what's going on in the marketplace, and just wanted to give you my idea of what's happening. The numbers here again are 281-837-2222. We've got my technology guru here in the studio, Roberto Johnson. The numbers again are 281 837-2222. We're going to be talking real estate this evening, but we're going to be talking technology in real estate. And so let me give the numbers out again, 281-837-2222. If you want to share any information with me, you can always email me at shad, S-H-A-D, at bargaining.com. Roberto and I are practicing 6 feet apart. We're practicing the COVID-19 distance here, but I was glad he was able to come in on the studio with us in my home studio, and we're going to sit here and talk about what's happening in the Houston real estate market in regards to technology. Roberto, welcome back to the Real Estate Corner.
Hey man, thanks for having me tonight.
And I know we're not at the real studio. We made a studio tonight, and we're here on KWWJ 1360, and we're doing taping for our show on Saturday morning on Iconic TV at 15.10. So Roberto, let's talk about home technology. Working from home. A lot of people are working from home. Let's talk a little bit about what is needed to work from home in regards to home work at home. Almost everybody, I'm working from home. Everybody's working from home and stay in place. So let's talk a little bit about what people need to work from home to be efficient and be able to do a good job.
Well, I think this COVID-19 has really got people, scattered around trying to find out how they can utilize technology the best way. And so a lot of us are working from home, as you said earlier. And then what's really needed to work from home? Well, you need a solid PC, laptop. You're going to need a webcam so that you can be able to do your social media online.
So are the webcams on the laptops, or is that something separate that you need?
Well, some of the newer laptops have webcams built inside.
Okay.
With a microphone as well as to be able to hear as well.
Okay.
Some of the older units, or if you have a desktop,
right, they
don't come with a webcam. So you're going to need to have a webcam attached to your monitor.
Okay.
To be able to facilitate that need. And then you're also going to need to have a decent mic combination speaker system so that you be able to hear and carry on the two-way conversation.
Well, one of the things I've noticed, I've been on a couple of webinars, I've been on a couple of where I'm having to work from home, and I was on a Zoom deal the other day, 200 people on this Zoom deal. And what I noticed that a lot of echoing when people were talking. How do you solve that problem? Because that gets a little ignored when it kind of creates a different atmosphere. You almost don't want to hear these people talk. Would you let somebody else talk?
That's such a thing called etiquette for when you're doing webinars, and that is to mute your microphone.
All right.
A lot of people just get on and they start talking, but they don't mute the mic, which means that a lot of background noises can be heard along with that meeting. So if the baby's crying in the background or something going on, you'll be able to hear that. So the best thing is you should have one person that's the mediator. And he controls who can say what, that kind of stuff. He carries on the conversation and pretty much conducts the meeting. But from there, just mute your mic. That's the simplest thing to do. Just turn your mic off, and that cuts down the background noise and makes it easy for everybody else to be able to tune in and listen as well.
So let me ask you a question. What about doing a microphone where you actually put a headset on, plug into your computer or your laptop? Would I get better sound out of that?
Well, what you're going to be able to do is to be able to hear, because the headphones are going to allow you to focus in on what's being said.
Okay.
If you got a speaker sitting around your PC, again, because the distance between you and the PC, you can't hear it sometimes. So when you turn it up a little louder, you start getting feedback. If you don't mute your mic, so there's a lot of technical issues that can play into your meeting online. And so, like I said earlier, if you could just turn your mic on, get an inexpensive headphone sets. The funny thing was, we talked about working from home. And I was telling everybody, you got to get a webcam if you don't have a laptop, and you cannot find them. I mean, everybody's sold out of webcams, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, so your local computer store, they're selling out everything. And they're practicing social media as well. A lot of stores you have to stand outside before you can get in.
Okay.
And once you get in, the pickings are very slim. So,
all right. What about the online stores?
A lot of online stores, and I think Amazon is really not even shipping only essential merchandise. So unless it's medical supplies, if you're trying to order electronic gear from them, it's going to take a while before you can get it. So again, I wish you had looked into this a little earlier, but a lot of people got caught off guard. A lot of the companies want to be able to offer their employees a chance to work from home. and they scramble to try to get the technology in, with either using the Microsoft team or using the Zoom or using some of the Google products. They got caught off guard. And so now everybody's scrambling around trying to make all this stuff work. So this week has been pretty hectic. But I think once everything settled down and some guidelines put in place from some of the companies on how they want to conduct their at-home, work from home procedures, things will probably settle out.
What about, you mentioned Zoom, we've talked about webinars. What about join meetings or go-to meetings? Are those effective also working from home, especially if you're talking to several clients out there?
Well, it all comes down to how much money you want to invest. A lot of these services, some are free, and the free ones have limitations. I think with Zoom right now, the limitation of the free one is probably you can meet up to about 40 people at one time, or maybe 4 people at one time, but you only get maybe 40 minutes of actual meeting time online.
So these are limiting how long you can be online for those virtual meetings.
Right. So if you're paying for the services, the more you pay, the more bandwidth, the more people can join, the more functionality and features that you have in the software.
Okay.
But if it's just a free, you just kind of conduct a meeting with 2, 3, 4 people at a time, the free service is okay. I mean, they'll get you through what you need to get through.
Well, I've noticed when I've been on some other meetings, wasn't on webcam, wasn't video, but it was 10 people on a phone call.
Okay.
And I noticed that if you didn't get in early, you wasn't getting on that phone call because it was ringing. It was just bomb, bomb, bomb. So what's your thoughts on that? What can I do to eliminate it? Get on the phone calls early?
Well, a lot of times, just find out what the limitations of the software that you're using are.
Okay.
If it's the free version of it, there's going to be some limitations as to who can get on, who can get off, that kind of stuff. Sometimes you have to spend a little bit more money to get some of the additional features of the software. So if you got calls where you get 20, 30 people on, you might want to invest the money to make sure you purchase that right software to get you where you need to be.
Free works for 1 or 2 people, but when you're trying to conduct business, you really need to up it.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, a lot of the people that I know that doing working from home got caught in that mix because they didn't know what they needed.
Okay.
So once they got online with the free stuff, they realized I can't talk to 1 or 2 people at a time, or I can talk to maybe 3, but I can be one mediator. I can't hear what they're saying.
Right.
I can't mute the mic, so I'm picking up all those background noises. So some planning has to take place. And, like I say, a lot of us got caught off guard by not knowing what our companies want us to be able to log into.
Right.
Some companies allow you to log in so that you can, replicate your desktop at home that you once had at the office. So if I need to get to my files, work on documents, receive emails, if you don't have a VPN in place, you can't get into the company's computer. So they had to work with this go-around way to try to make things happen.
All right.
So,
would you bring that mic a little bit closer to you? I just got my radio producer telling me that you were a little low there.
So again, the planning is really necessary. From a technical background, we play through a lot of different scenarios, trying to find out what our customer need. And you have to take it down to the lowest common denominator. Everybody don't have an i7 PC or a laptop at home. Some of us don't even have significant internet connectivity to be able to carry on these kind of meetings. So if you didn't plan the proper way or didn't run into a couple scenarios where you could play these out just to see what your company have, you're going to get caught up, and a lot of people are going to be very dissatisfied because a lot of companies want, if you put in 8 hours at the office, they want you to put 8 hours at home.
Right.
Sometimes that's very difficult to do.
Right. They want to make sure you're working. So let's talk about internet bandwidth. You mentioned bandwidth earlier. So how do I know what the right bandwidth to have? Looks like I've noticed that I ask for extra bandwidth because I work from home and with my internet provider. So how do I know if I'm getting the full bandwidth that I should get, or are you finding you're really not getting it because everybody's there?
Let's make it real simple. Let me use the analogy of think of it as being on a highway. You got an 8-lane highway, right? And then you got a toll booth.
Okay.
And so our toll booth can narrow it down to like 4 or 5 lanes, or even smaller, right? So as you can see, at that flow of traffic speeds to the freeway, and then we get down to the toll booth that's a mile from us.
Okay.
The traffic starts to slow down, right? And so when you get to the toll booth, it comes to a crawl. Well, the internet is the same way. You have what they call upload and download speeds.
Okay.
The upload speeds is what you're doing to send information up to the internet.
Okay.
Okay, your download is what you're receiving from the internet.
Okay.
So typically your upload speed, most home should get at least 10, 15 megabits of data coming down.
All right.
And then upload could be 3 to 5 going up, which is pretty sufficient for video webcasting, video webinars, and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But if you're streaming content,
All right.
that's a whole different language.
Okay.
So the best thing to do is, there's a couple programs that you can run from your PC.
All right. If you could get closer to that
Okay.
mic.
All right, let me get closer here.
Yeah.
There's a couple of applications that you can run from your PC that allows you to do a speed test that's going to tell you exactly what you're getting from your internet provider.
Are they free services?
Yeah, those services are free. And basically what they're going to do is tell you, they're going to ping the address to find out how fast your response is to your ISP.
Okay.
And then they're going to give you an upload speed to find out how fast your data is being uploaded to your internet provider. And then they're going to give you a download. And so when you look at, some of our internet providers, such as Comcast, AT&T, the more you pay for those features, the better the upload, the better your internet connection is going to be.
Okay. We're talking with Roberto Johnson Jr. And Roberto's here. He's my technology guru. And we're sitting in my home studio on Iconic TV and, of course, KWWJ 1360. If you're just flipping through the dial and you called us, yes, you're on the gospel station. And we are on KWWJ 1360. My name is Shad Bargany. I'm the host of the Real Estate Corner. We're the longest running Real Estate Corner show here in Houston. We've been on the air almost 30 years doing this show every Tuesday at the same time for almost the last 30 years. You can also follow us on YouTube. Go sign up for our Real Estate Corner. Subscribe to our channel. You can catch all our shows in case you miss one. My guest in the studio tonight is Roberto Johnson Jr. Roberto, what company are you with, and would you give your phone number if somebody's interested in contacting you?
I'm with Page One Productions. We're a multimedia company here in Houston for the last 20 years. You can reach us at 832-880-7883, or you can hit us at the web at www.pageoneproduction.com. So,
Roberto, we talked about working from home. We've talked about internet connection. Security has become a big deal with everybody. And, I grew up in the age where people were putting up burglar bars everywhere, and only people who had a lot of money could get cameras up. So what's happening with the camera system now, and what do you see in the evolution of cameras?
Well, right now, to get a camera to actually provide security surveillance around your house has really come down in price. And the technology has advanced a long way.
Okay.
You're talking about HD cameras. You're talking about doorbell cameras as your first line of defense for anybody who wants to get a security system. There's different ways to do it. You have your wireless connections. You have your wire connections. What we try to do is to give you what we call our 360 coverage. And that means that if you have a 1 or 2 story home, you want to be able to have at least, if somebody walked on your property, they should be seeing at least 2 cameras at any given time. Because you don't want to have any what they call blind spots.
Okay.
So typically, most people, they think they only need 4 cameras to start off with. But to give you the 360 coverage, 8 cameras is pretty much what we try to start from.
8 cameras?
8 cameras is
okay.
Is because what you think of, if you look at it in the sense of like having a square house, okay, your floor plan is a typical square. But if you look at each corner, okay, facing each other,
okay,
that's 8 cameras right there. Okay, so when you look at it from the simplest diagram, you're thinking each corner of your house, looking toward each other and away from each other, that's about 8 cameras. Okay, so when you add a camera at the front door, one at the back door, now you're 10 cameras. So it seems like there's a lot, but there's a lot of coverage, and you want to have what we call an overlap of coverage. So you don't have any blind spots, so if anybody walked up on your property, you don't want them to see it in one camera and then they duck somewhere else that can't be seen.
Okay.
Now, with the new technology, such as line crossing, you have infrared technology, you have heat technology built into these systems now.
What is heat technology?
Well, if somebody walked on your property, the camera will sense the motion, and then if it's at night, you'll be able, because a lot of times you can't see them at night with the cameras because it'd be black and white instead of color.
Right.
But with the heat, it's like watching one of these movies that you see on Star Wars, something like that, where the body emits the heat and the camera picks it up, so you can actually see the person walking around with the heat that they emitted from their bodies.
That's that red, yellow, blue,
red,
green image. Okay.
So there's a lot of new technology out there like that. Like I say, the new HD cameras are 4K, just like we talked about on our TVs. The higher the resolution, the higher the number, the better the resolution is going to be. But there's a price associated with that. So if you're just starting out, make sure that you have a bigger DVR with the number of inputs that you need as far as cameras. So you can start with 8 cameras, but you want to make sure that you have an 8 or 16 channel DVR, so you can always add those cameras later.
What is the DVR?
Well, DVR is their digital video recorder. That's what actually records everything that the camera sees 24 hours a day on all your cameras on one device.
So is it a way to do this where I have everything on my phone?
Well, when we talk about monitoring, most of the DVRs will have a mobile app. Mm-hmm. And I always look at it this way. Who's going to monitor your property better than you? So why pay someone to monitor your equipment when you got your phone, your tablet with you 24 hours a day? And so most of the systems are going to give you an alert that if somebody walked across your lawn or knocked on the door or picked up a motion, you're going to get an email alert to your phone directly, immediately. And therefore, you pick up the camera and see what's going on. You got two-way communication so that you can actually ask somebody, hey, can I help you? What do you need? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So when you look at protecting your property, it just makes sense to have a surveillance system that's going to allow you to protect your family and your valuables. But I want to be able to monitor it myself instead of pay a monthly fee to have somebody else monitor it. Because they're looking at hundreds of camera systems, and one trigger, they got to look to make sure they triggered it, make sure it's not a false alarm, and they're going to try to contact you before they send the police out.
Okay.
Well, with the new system, you're going to get the alarm immediately. If you see something that's not right, you're going to pick up the phone, call 911.
All right, so let me ask you a question. As we're sitting here and people are listening to us, I can't say they're sitting in traffic anymore, but let's say this. So what happens if I don't want to buy a DVR, but I want to be able to monitor my cameras on my phone? Can I do that?
Yeah, you can. Okay. There's a lot of new systems out there. And in particular, one part that I'm really high on is the Wear products by Wise. They're very inexpensive cameras. They're wireless. You can put them anywhere. And when I talk about price, you're talking $34 a camera. Okay, two-way communication. You can talk back and forth. It's got a SD card built into the actual camera itself, so any recording is going to be recorded to an SD card. So therefore, you don't need a DVR. All
right, and what kind of camera is that?
It's called the Wise cameras. There's the Wise 3.0 cameras. One is they have a PTZ camera, which is a pan, tilt, and zoom camera that moves around. Mm-hmm. They have the actual fake focus cameras. Very inexpensive, real easy to set up. We talked about internet connectivity earlier with working from home, and then being able to look at your DVR. And then we get into the second segment of the show where we talk about home security and streaming devices. Mm-hmm. One thing that's a necessity is making sure you have a good, solid internet connection.
The interconnection is which makes
everything is tied into that. Everything from streaming your home devices to having smart technology devices to looking at your cameras from home, or it all comes down to that one intricate part, and that's a good internet connection.
So people should be really trying to buy premium internet connections.
It just makes a lot of sense. You cut out all the headaches when you have the bandwidth.
Okay, when you have the bandwidth. Now I know a while back they were talking about slowing the government agency that governs internet connections. They were talking about being able to, if you were on BBC internet, you had fast internet speed, but if you decided to go off to somebody else and leave their streaming device, then it slows down considerably. Well, so if I bought the system that one of these big box technology companies sold, I'd get great streaming. But if I decided to go to someone like Wise, it ain't as fast.
You start to see some changes in that.
Okay.
I think when they looked at that, a lot of the companies, their users were really upset about how they were doing it. And so, with everybody cutting the cable these days and trying to get, watch what I call IPTV, it's kind of funny that when you have a service, and let's just say, for instance, we'll talk about Comcast for a second.
Okay.
So Comcast, and hopefully it's not one of your sponsors.
No.
I'm not going to try to bash them, but it just makes more sense, and people, I think, would understand what I'm saying here.
Because we're going to talk a little bit more about streaming.
So let's just assume that you have Comcast as your cable provider, and you watch your CNN, right? And you're paying the premium amount because you're paying the cable bill each month. And you decide, you know what? I want to cut the cable, and I want to go to a different service to be able to watch CNN. Well, guess what? As long as you're using Comcast, they can see what you're watching. Okay, whether it's their service or somebody else's service. So to get you to come back to them, they're going to slow your internet connection down so that the TV that you're watching, that IP service, is going to cause it to buffer. And so how annoying is it when you watch TV, it's just consistently buffered, right? And then you're going to say, you know what, if I got to deal with this, I might as well go back to cable. And so that's what you're starting to see. And so that's done by the cable company.
It's a game.
Yeah, it's a game. And they're, what they call it, they're actually tethering your speed down. So that you get the slow internet connectivity, so that a lot of the content you're watching, if it's not from them, it's going to buffer.
Okay. So guys, we're talking with Roberto Johnson. Roberto is my technology guru. This guy does everything in technology. And we did everything on security. What about the doorbell camera? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, doorbell cameras is really your first line of defense.
Okay.
If you don't have a full system, the first thing a burglar is going to do is going to find out if you're at home. So they're going to come up and knock on the doorbell, or they knock on the door to see if they get a response. Well, with these new technology, you get a motion detection before they even get to the doorbell. So they don't even have to even touch the doorbell before your camera will tell you. So
if my package is sitting there from Amazon, I see them coming up.
Yeah, in fact, you're going to see it when Amazon drop it off because they're going to pick up that motion and record that for you. So there's a lot of different services out there that have some pretty good products. I mean, we talked about the Ring, and that's probably the standard that's out there right now. That's owned by Amazon. Then you have the Nest camera, which is what I use because it has facial recognition. And so if you're using, we'll get into this later in the program, that if you have your smart home technology, when somebody rings the doorbell, the camera's smart enough to know who's at the doorbell and will name announce that person who's at the doorbell, okay, who's actually at your door. So those are some of the features that they use using the facial recognition software.
All right. Wow.
But with any of these services, and this is what they don't tell you, there's going to be a monthly fee to be able to watch the recorded information that gets recorded on that device. Okay. And that's that unknown number that they don't really tell you about. I know Amazon is charging somewhere in the price range of about $3.50 a month for that service. Nest is doing the same thing as well. So some of the newer cameras, they allow you to put an SD card in. And again, you can record directly to the SD card and be able to monitor and pull that video from your phone without having a third-party entity involved to do the recording in the cloud.
Okay. We're talking with Roberto Johnson. The numbers here again are 281-837-2222. My name is Shad Bogany. I'm host of the Real Estate Corner. And you are watching us or listening to us on KWWJ 1360. And we'll catch us Saturday morning on Iconic TV. This is a new show for Iconic. We've been doing a few reruns, and we decided that we were going to bring Roberto in because technology, home technology, all of it's changing. People's working from home. They're spending more time. So what better subject? Let me give the phone numbers out. 281-837-2222. That's 281-837-2222. Give us a call. All our lines are open. 281-837-2222. We're going to take a quick break, Roberto. We're going to come back with the Real Estate Corner. When we come back, we're going to talk about smart home technology. Roberto's been kind of teasing you a little bit about it. But guys, it's here. I don't know if you remember when we used to sit in school and they used to say that you could talk to somebody and the computer would tell you everything, whether the weather, what's going on, how to drive is to work. All of that's here, and we're going to be talking with Roberto Johnson about smart home technology. Get your pen and pencil out. Roberto, before we go to the break, give your number out again.
Yeah, I can be reached at 832-880-7883, or you can head to us on the web at www.pageoneproduction.com.
All right, we'll be right back with the Real Estate Corner. Welcome back to your host, Shad Boggin, and we're here every Tuesday from 6:15 to 7:15 on KWWJ 1360. You can also catch us streaming on kwwj.org, or you can go to the realestatecorner.info. My guest here in the studio with us tonight is Roberto Johnson. Roberto is a technology guru. This guy knows everything about technology, and he's here in the studio to give you some tips. Let me give the phone numbers out: 281-837-2222. That's 281-837-2222. So Roberto, let's talk a little bit about smart home technology. We've teased a little bit about that. So what is smart home technology?
Well, it's allow your home to be fully automated and controlled by your voice. And that's the bottom line. When you want to walk in the house, you want to say, turn on the light, or, start the coffee pot, or turn on the water sprinkler. It's all done by voice activated.
Right.
And so to get to that point, there's a couple products that are out there on the market which allow them to make it very simple and easy to do now.
Okay.
You can start out with like the Amazon products with their dots. You have the Google Home Assistants. Those products usually typically run between $25 to $50 to start off with, and then you can build on from there. And so with those devices, you can do anything from order products from Amazon, or create your grocery list, check the weather, get the latest news, list of music, just from that one device. So when you decide that I want to go one step further, you can add a couple control devices that allow you to use your voice to turn on and out. Okay, and usually use what they call a plug device that you plug to the wall. That's Wi-Fi control. And any device that's plugged into that plug can be turned on or off. And then
so instead of that little commercial we see, clap, clap, there now.
The old clap, clap.
We've come a long way from clap. All right.
That was the first generation of being able to control those devices.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're starting to see a lot of devices that incorporate Wi-Fi technology and Bluetooth technology. So now that same phone or that lamp that we plugged into that plug to turn on and off, now the actual light bulb inside that lamp is controlled by a voice over Wi-Fi. And that's how far we've come, because it makes it a lot easier, and the cost of upgrading or getting your home into an environment which becomes a smart home has dropped in price tremendously. So it's not like a big time expense. It's just finding what you do. You got to do a little planning, because you want to make sure that I want this device to work this way at this location. And once you put that in place, then it comes down to getting the right equipment to help you facilitate that need.
All right. For example, the locks on your door. Mm-hmm. So now you can tell Alexa to lock the front door, or Google lock the front door, and she locks. So you buy this device. And I've noticed that builders are now putting a smart home technology almost at every price point on all the houses to make living a lot easier. And so people have a tendency to think that Big Brother's watching. And we were talking with our iconic producer here in the studio that Lexa says, I didn't hear you. I know mine have said that. Okay. So people are concerned that they are sitting there and Alexa or Google is listening to them. What's your take on that? Is Big Brother watching us? You start talking at home. You don't think about looking at TV, all of a sudden it starts popping up on your phone, TV. So.
That's funny you brought that up. Big Brother, they've been watching us for a while, and it's just not on our device that we're using. If we go back to looking at our telephone lines, our landlines, if you said keywords that were pulled out from your language, whether it was about making a bomb, or you got this big drug deal, they was watching it pretty much to see or listening to those conversations. But now with this new technology, with all the millions of phones out there and all the new TVs out there, it is tremendously difficult to sit there and watch all this information go through. I had a chance to go into the data center that's in San Antonio, one of the old Air Force bases. And when you look at the rows of servers that are in that room, it's just mind-blowing. And to think that can be used to monitor every phone call, everything that's been said to every Alexa or Google device, it's mind-blowing. But at the same time, the resource to capture the data is there, but the resources to filter through that data it's impossible. We just don't have the manpower to sit there and just watch everything that goes through 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So now I have a Nest system, so you can sit there and tell people your Amazon and Google, and people don't realize that you don't have to go upstairs to turn your air down or turn it off. You just tell Alexa or Google to go ahead and turn your air off or on, or set it at 75, or you can do it from your phone so it turns on by the time you get home to have that done.
And the thing about that is it's a tremendous value, and it saves you on energy.
Okay.
Because your system, on the old system, your system will run, you set it for 75, it's going to run, the fan will stay on the whole day, right?
Right.
So now these things got eco mode built in, so that it knows that the temperature in the house, how much moisture is in the house, it knows when somebody walks past and the heat from their body gets transferred to the thermostat. It's a lot more to it, but it makes it simple because it's all voice control. From your doorbell camera to your actual doorbell lock, to your lights, to your TV set, it's all being controlled by your voice. And that's what makes the home so much smarter, because you can take these devices and you can group them together. And you say, well, what does that mean? Well, there's two different types of ecosystems. There's the Amazon products that's been the forerunner at doing all this together. And then Google came on later. But because the Google had the ecosystem, it made it much easier to integrate those third-party products into our smart home technology now. So let's give you an example when we talk about grouping. Say you go out and you get 5 different lights put in 5 different rooms in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Those lights are all controlled by, you give each light a separate name. Downstairs, living room, game room, that type. But then you can put those in what we call a group name. And so let's say your upstairs light fall under upstairs lights. Bedroom, game room, upstairs. Downstairs, kitchen, living room, bathroom. So now, instead of just saying turn on each individual light, you can say turn the lights on downstairs. And all those individual lights that are part of that downstairs group can be controlled, whether dimmed up or dimmed down or turned off completely on.
Or if you're having a party, having a strobe light, just turn it, give me some strobe light here, and it starts blinking. Or if you're trying to set a mood, turn it green or red or whatever. Technology has just really gotten really crazy out there. So let me ask you a question, and this goes back to something we talked about earlier, and that is, what makes all this work is still that internet. That's still that internet. So say we're listening back home, we're driving in the car, and you're thinking, man, it's got to be complicated. This got to be difficult. Is it that complicated to set this smart home up?
No, it's really not. If you can put a light bulb in a lamp and screw it in, mm-hmm. you can program your house for the smart home technology. That's how really simple it's got. Now, a lot of planning is needed, because it's not like our smart devices don't think like we do. Okay, if we need light, we just flip the switch on. We're going about our business. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now you have to program that switch to be able to take our voice command, right, to be able to do that. So when you look at the Google Home and the Echo Dot, one of the things you do when you first set it up is to try to set itself up to your voice patterns and to your voice commands, so that nobody just can come right in your house and say, Google, turn on the light. It's going to look at you and say, I don't understand that, but it's trying to understand your voice patterns and differentiate your voice patterns from somebody else.
So how do you set those voice patterns up?
Well, when you first set up your device, it's going to have you go through a set of commands. Okay. And the more you use it, the more it's going to get acclimated to how your voice structure and the way you talk goes in.
Okay.
And it's a pretty simple process. But there's some planning that definitely has to take place.
To make it work.
Yeah, to make it work the right way.
Well, one of the things I love is being able to order your groceries on Amazon, and it knows, and then it delivers you right to your door. All you do is tell it what you want, and it's there. Guys, home technology is really going to another level, and let's take time. We're getting ready in just a few minutes to do a station ID break. But before we do that, let's talk about this situation with the smart home technology. What if your internet goes down? Can I get out of my house if all my door locks are set up on it? Can I turn my TVs on if my internet is out? So,
it's funny that you said that, because I know the other day I was setting up a door lock for a customer, and they brought that same question up. Uh-huh. So when you think in terms of your internet connection, let's think in terms of your router at your home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so even though your internet from Comcast, it might have a break in that connectivity,
Mm-hmm.
but your home is still running off the router inside. So your home, we call it your intranet, because it's your own internet connectivity inside your home. It's still connected to your devices. Okay, it's only you won't be able to control it from outside your house. You know, you can't be in the car and say, "Hey, unlock the front door. I'm on my way home."
Right.
If the internet goes down, that's not going to work.
Right.
But as long as you get within range of your home Wi-Fi connection, you can bring up your phone, run that mobile app, and unlock the front door, and it's just perfect. So it's just a matter of having your internet at home on its own router with all your apps, that's plugged into that, versus being outside with the internet connectivity. Could be broken. It can go down, but not your home.
So, Roberto, let's get into streaming.
Okay.
We've got about 15 more minutes left in the show. A lot of people are streaming today. They don't know what streaming means, but you kind of touched on it a little bit. Streaming would be shows like Netflix, Hulu, and so on and so on.
Okay.
So let's talk about it. But before we get into streaming, a lot of churches listen to KWWJ. And let's talk a little bit of how these churches are having services versus having you come in. Let's talk about that.
Well, recently, because of the virus, it was said that our leaders came back and said, "Hey, we don't want to have any groupies of more than 10 people." So that affected our churches big time, because a lot of churches got caught without being able to have the streaming services. And so it all comes down to, in what I saw, the money. Whether people were tithing, making offers. And so a lot of the pastors felt like if they wasn't at the church, they're not going to be able to tithe and get their offerings and stuff. And so if you didn't have a streaming service in place, or you didn't have a way of collecting tithes online, you pretty much got caught with your hands, down. And so the streaming aspect of church servicing has taken on. It's been around for a while. And a lot of my clients that we put equipment in, we try to convince them that back then there's going to be a need for streaming. Now, we didn't think it was going to turn out like this, but what it does is allow people who can't make church services to be able to broadcast, not just to their church members, but also open the doors up so they can broadcast a message around the world. Because with the internet, you're not just tethered to being inside your building. You're broadcasting to people outside the walls of your church. And so streaming has caught on. People are using Facebook. They're using YouTube Live, and various other streaming services so that you can be able to broadcast to the people. And then it comes down to who you're streaming to, what services you're using to rebroadcast your information to. Now, I have a different take on streaming as far as a lot of church services is concerned, because I look at things as being a production. And so a lot of churches, they don't have that production value that's really needed. Okay, I look at, I hate to say this, but I look at Joel Osteen as a way of saying he raised the bar for doing broadcasting. And to stream his broadcast the way his church services are done every Sunday morning is what I try to get our churches to do. It's to uplift your
need to get
church,
close to that mic.
Bring your church's production value up, so that people can see what you're actually doing inside the church.
Okay.
I always tell my clients, I try to give you the Joel Osteen look and feel without the Joel Osteen price.
Right. So tell me whether or not is it expensive for churches to stream, and where should they be investing their money in to be able to stream service? Because I have a feeling after we get past this virus, you're going to see streaming continue on, and you're going to see churches finding a way. I saw my mother the other day working on her phone trying to PayPal her tithe. Okay, so ideally things are changing.
I think, when you talk about production value, okay, it's what people normally see you outside the walls of the church. Okay, and so I have to differentiate myself and my service from what everybody else is doing. You're going to have your members that are dedicated to your church and they're going to watch your stream. But you're also trying to pick up new people to come to the church. And so for the first time, we're on a level playing field where I can look at them and go, oh, you know what? That's a really nice video. It's clean. I want to go visit that church. And so you as a church person, you want to make sure that you're at that level. A lot of churches I know who's streaming, they got a camera holding up or phone, and they're trying to Facebook, and the camera's moving in and out, and so maybe somebody dropped the phone, And so it's live, which means that if they make that mistake, you cannot clean it up. It's going out just the way you broadcast it. So streaming to me means that at 11 o'clock church service morning, I'm going live with a broadcast. But again, if that broadcast is an hour or 2 hours long, you have to ask yourself, if I'm not at church, will I watch that streaming broadcast for a whole hour, hour and a half, sitting on my laptop, in my bed, or
you watch a movie, so why wouldn't that make sense?
Yeah, we do pay for the movie.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that movie has a production value tied to that.
Okay.
And so when I watch a movie and I'm watching a church service, I want to make sure that value of what I'm watching is the same.
Okay.
I don't want to be, I don't want to have a lower resolution or lower service quality to a movie that I'm paying for.
Well,
I'm still tired.
Well, and I guess I get to the point that if you're used to 1080p, which has to do with your vision and has to do with what you're seeing. And when you go to somebody who has 480 or 720, it is a huge difference.
Big difference.
And it's almost like the days when somebody has a little stereo system and you're used to listening to Hot 5 and you walk in here a stereo system, you're like, you can turn that off.
And the thing that you have to look at is even if you want to stream, take the time to record your service, edit it, and then upload it and make it video on demand.
Okay.
Because therefore, people can watch all day long anytime they want to. And it's not like if you start at 11 o'clock with a live stream, if I'll join in at 11:30, I'll miss 30 minutes of the program.
Right.
Okay. Well, if it's video on demand, that means I can go back and as soon as I click in at 11:30, I'm watching it from the beginning, the entirety of the broadcast.
So how hard is video on demand?
It's real simple. All you're basically doing is instead of streaming it live, you just upload it to whoever your service provider is. And then they'll be able to put that on like a Facebook video, just like an archive video. You just click on it and it plays. And you can embed that code into your website so the end user still think that it's live. They'll still see it as a live program because there's new content that's on your website.
Okay.
And then you'll be able to archive the content so that 3 or 4 weeks later, they can go back and watch that one that they missed. And to me, that's more important because you're controlling the content of your stream versus just having it out there live.
So let's talk a little bit about streaming. A lot of people at home right now. Okay. And so let's talk a little bit about streaming. People, you always cut the cord. People have satellite. They've got all these services that are available. What do you recommend in streaming and how important is it? And how do you keep your internet provider from seeing what you're watching?
All right, so 2 things you can do here. First of all, when I look at people, they ask me about cutting cable and cutting the cord. And it's when you're looking at spending $200 a month plus for cable, and the average homeowner only watch maybe 8 channels or 9 channels a week on the cable station. Right. You're throwing money away, basically what it comes down to. Okay. And so there's a lot of service out there with some media devices, such as the Fire Stick, the Amazon Fire Stick, you got Apple TV, you have the Roku. Those devices allow you, they're called media devices, okay, which allow you to have apps that are on those devices that allow you to pull in that content that you're paying for. So you're actually streaming Netflix or Hulu from that company to your home.
And that's why the internet service, once again, having a good internet service is really important.
Gotta have that pipe. Gotta have that pipe.
Gotta
have them lanes of traffic open. Okay. And so with those devices, you can basically cut your cable down. A lot of money. You can cut it down to you can almost cut cable off altogether because you have what they call
What about local channels?
Well, so we get into that. We call those OTAs, over the air antenna. Okay. And you can take those, you can plug those into your back of your TV or your flat panel TV and get all your local channels, and that's free. And that's 1080p, it's higher def as well.
And that's why we're on Iconic TV. You can watch us digital TV, and it's free to you, 15.10. And how do you get that channel?
Your channel is
15.10, but just put the antenna in.
Put the antenna on there. You would pick up all those digital channels.
Okay.
Without a problem. And in the Houston area, with a digital antenna, you're going to pick up about 135 to 150 channels.
And we're on 15.10, so I just want to make sure that we do.
So when you think about that, when you pay all this money for cable, you can't get Iconic TV. You can't get those local digital channels. Right. Because they're not available on the digital network. Okay. So, again, cutting the cable, getting rid of your cable bill, so to speak, gives you tremendous up value by using those media devices.
But what if you've gotten used to watching Power on Showtime and Stars and HBO?
You'll still be able to get there. But what's going to take place is the way we watch TV now versus using the new service like the IPTV is going to change the way, because now I can control what I see, when I want to see it, and how I want to see it.
It's very similar how DVRs and DirecTV changed, because you never watch anything live.
So what you're looking at is, you say, well, how much are those services? Well, IPTV services are probably giving you 1,500 channels, and they're probably running anywhere between $19, $15, $10, depending on the connection. And they're going to give you a lot of content, and it's all HD, it's high def as well, at a fraction of the cost. So now, when you're using these services, one of the things you want to do, because we talked about this earlier, the internet companies tether your service back. So you're going to go elsewhere, stay with them. You got to get what I call a VPN. So it's a private virtual network. It's a piece of software that you put on those devices that will not allow Comcast, AT&T to see what you're actually streaming.
And it's pretty easy to set up. I did it there on Sunday, so to set that up.
So how did it work for you?
It's working. It's working pretty good. It's not allowing me. I just need, before you leave here, to check and make sure I got it right. But it's an easy service to get done, and it's very inexpensive.
Very expensive.
But that kind of gives you back control of your service.
And again, with these services, people have a tendency, I know the cable companies, they can actually see what you're doing. And they say they're not looking, they're not concerned about that, but they do, trust me.
Just like Amazon and Google, right?
You ever wonder when you go search for something on one of those, like Google or Amazon, and you search for a product, and then you go check your Gmail, and what do you see on the right-hand side? Everything you just asked Google or Amazon to do, all the ads are popping up on the side. So that algorithm that they have built in to find out what you're shopping for, what you're looking for, it's trackable. Well, the internet is tracking you, or your service provider is tracking you on what you're watching on your TV. Because there's no such thing as Nielsen ratings and stuff like that on IP type TV. It's on the over the airway because they give you a receiver, lets you find out how many people are watching this show, but it's not like that on the internet. So they're watching to see if I'm watching CNN and I'm not part of the cable network, I'm not part of your service, and you're watching through IPTV. If I was a cable subscriber, I would do the same thing too. I was like, you know what, I want them to come back, so I'm gonna tether them down a little bit so it buffers. And it should be like that.
Will it still buffer with VPN?
It should. The VPN is going to allow you to protect that connection. And so they're not going to know what you're looking at or where it's coming from, because the way the VPN works is it redirects your signal to a different server and it jumps all over the place. And so they don't have the manpower and resource to find out where all this stuff is going to and where it's coming from. And that's what the VPN does. It gives you a virtual network.
If people want to do reviews on cameras, reviews on streaming services, how to set things up, where would you recommend they go to?
The YouTube by far is probably the most resourceful site on the internet. I mean, you can.
It's the encyclopedias of what was growing up as a kid.
If we had this when we was a kid, I don't know where we'd be at right now. But the thing is, YouTube is a tremendous source for product reviews. Just the other day, I was trying to figure out how I change oil on the car that I picked up, and because it's totally different. And so what I do was YouTube. Not only did I learn how to change the oil, but also how to figure out how to set the Bluetooth up in the car, because it's an old Bluetooth technology that doesn't allow me to play my music, but it tells to my phone. And I couldn't figure it out in a man, so I went to YouTube, and sure enough, it was right there. So do your homework. Find out what it is that you want to get rid of and what you can replace it with at a lower cost. And then find out, how it's going to be installed. How can I install it versus paying somebody to come out and do it? What do you want to get out of the device? Whether it's Apple TV, whether it's a Fire Stick, or whether it's a Roku device, you want to find out what channels there are that's available that you get on the channel. And that's how it basically works. So YouTube. It's a tremendous source, but at the same time, if you need some professional installation experience,
let's give your number out, because we've run out of time here on the Real Estate Corner. What's your phone number quick?
Again, you can reach us at 832-880-7883, or you can reach us on the web at www.pageoneproduction.com.
Hi, guys. My name is Shad Bogany. Again, thank you for watching the Real Estate Corner, and I appreciate you coming in and listening to us. I hope you'll catch us Saturday morning and Sunday evening at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, 8 p.m. on Sunday night. And once again, thank you for listening to Real Estate Corner on KWWJ 1360, The Gospel. And if you're a church and you need somebody to set up your stream, you need to call Roberto. Guys, we'll see you next week on the Real Estate Corner.